So far this afternoon, we've heard about why antibiotic dosing is important, not only from an outcome perspective statistically, but also to individuals and the difference it can make to their lives. We've heard about the importance of performing studies correctly and then working with people that develop guidelines to make sure that that information can be made available to clinicians so that they can then take it forward into practice such that patients can realise the benefit of that work. The one thing we haven't spoken about yet is how you fund these studies, because studies take a lot of individuals, a lot of groups' time, and they need support from generous people and generous entities. And we're very fortunate to have Simone Garske here, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Royal Brisbane Women's Hospital Foundation, to talk to us a little bit about the importance of giving. And indeed, it was the Royal Brisbane Women's Hospital Foundation that's provided important initial funding for the Bling research program, as well as other studies which will be presented later on. So I'd like to invite Simone up to say a couple of words, if I may.
It's really great to be here. I have to say, I found myself in the education centre. I clearly didn't read the instructions for where this wonderful afternoon was being held, and I nearly ended up speaking at a retirement forum, which I'm not sure what was going on there. But anyway, I found it to the right place. So thank you very much for the kind invitation. I speak here today on behalf of the RBWH Foundation, and I'd like to acknowledge our incredible partnership and relationship that we have with Jason, Professor Lippman, and many others here that I see on the agenda speaking today, and our wonderful relationship that we have with the University of Queensland, and particularly the UQ Centre for Clinical Research. We love working with you, and as you said, I think we've achieved some amazing things together. So, Jason just asked me to speak a little bit about the role of giving in health and medical research, and I think to do that, and given that all of you are very data-driven, and my slides aren't nearly as informative as Emeritus Professor Lippman's, but let me have a go here. I thought, how am I going to start on this presentation? Well, I have to start by telling you about the RBWH Foundation, if you don't know. So clearly, we are here on the campus. We've only in the last 12 months got ourselves some new accommodation. For those of you who've been here for a while, you might recall we were up the back in old Block 20. And when COVID hit, we had to leave the campus, and thankfully, after being in the wilderness for 2 years, the then Executive Director of the hospital, David Rosengren, had great foresight and said, you people really need to be inside the hospital. And so therefore, we are down where an old coffee shop used to be, and in fact where the COVID Vax Hub was. And as I said, we've been there nearly 12 months. And it has been really great to be immersed inside the hospital. And I say that for two reasons. Firstly, we're behind admission, so it gives us a little bit of visibility, but it gives us a little bit of a shop front to clearly demonstrate that we are there and we're part of the hospital and improving the patient experience, which is what you invariably care about as well. And it's wonderful to see you here, Dale, as one of our wonderful inputters and advocates of our grant program. It's nice to see you here. So how do we raise money? Well, we do it in various guises, like lots of philanthropic organisations do, but at the heart of what we do, and we did this recently with our recent Giving Day, we focus in on the lives that can be saved, improved, and impacted in a positive way through generosity and giving. Now, we don't do that ourselves. We do it in partnership with others, but really the support that we receive at the foundation is because of the clinicians, the staff, and the excellent world-leading research that happens here on this campus. So we really are a conduit, a storyteller, a pitching agency, if you like, and a manager of donors' generosity and their confidence in the work that you do. 600,000 Reasons to Give was our last campaign. Now, many people thought that was the fundraising total. It actually wasn't, but it could have been. But 600,000 reasons is the number of patients that are treated annually at RBWH and at STARS, because we also support the STARS facility as well. The definition of philanthropy, in a nutshell, is about the love of humankind. There's nothing on that page that's about money, resources, doing things. And I like to show that slide when I'm given the opportunity to talk to people, because the reason that people give is because they care and they want to make a difference. And it's actually got nothing to do with how much money you might need, or even, dare I say it, how exciting a project might be. It generally comes deeply from within an individual who wants to make a difference. So what are some of the donor motivations? And I put this slide up, and I often get a lot of questions on the data set. This came from a 2016 report called the Giving Australia Report, which was commissioned by the Community Business Partnerships Roundtable of the government. This data set is, I think, very interesting, and probably no surprises to emotional and intellectual thinking people like your good selves. But the interesting point that comes up when I show you this is nowhere on there does it have one of the things that people normally think about when they think about making a donation of any size. Do you know what might not be on there that you might have thought might be on there?
Benefit for self.
Benefit for self, yeah. We've just hit 30 June. Who's getting ready to do their tax?
That's it.
Yes. Yes. And it's not that it's not a consideration, but isn't it interesting that it didn't make anything on this list? Because generally when I talk to people, that it is always, is this tax deductible? But yet the data that was drawn from this body of research didn't actually have that as one of the factors that people consider when making a donation. So I just point that out as an interesting piece. Further to that, Research Australia recently published a report that they put together for the Government Productivity Commission call out. You might know that there is an ambition to double giving in this country by 2030. So we've got a long way to go. And so I got this information from Research Australia where they'd done a further extrapolation of the data about why people in this country give to health and or medical research. Now there's some similarities there, so I don't really need to go into that. But I thought sharing with this group, it would be a nice reminder about the support and the value alignment with the work that you do. Particularly the last one, that personal connection to the cause, that either I know someone who has or had an illness or condition, that the work that is happening either at the hospital or in the research partnerships is making a change to. So I don't know if that dollar surprises you or not. It still always surprises me when I share this slide that that's how much money, on average, is given away in this country every year philanthropically. That's a lot of money, don't you think? And my challenge as the CEO of the RBWH Foundation on this campus, with so much opportunity here, and to be honest with you, the modest sums that we raise and give away, I want to grow our piece of the pie of that $13.1 billion. So that's another key reason that the foundation exists. But I just thought that might give you some quantum of the philanthropic funding that is available out there more broadly in the community. This is money that is given away each year. It's not new money, it's money that exists. And now a lot of it does come from corporates. You'll see 1.3 billion of that. And a lot of it comes from private high net worth individuals, family trusts and foundations, and what they call private ancillary funds, where high net worth individuals have set up a large corpus of money and they are required by the tax law to give away a certain component of that every year. So it's a lot of structured giving as part of that. Very little of that are the mum and dad donors, although they matter enormously to any fundraising enterprise. I also want to share this about that 13.1 billion. You might say, well, where is all of that going? Well, this is what we're told. Most of it, well, who's winning the race? Social services. And by that I mean St Vincent de Paul, Mission Australia, Salvation Army, although they could be in the religious category, there are lots of organisations who are delivering social services that are the top of people's giving interests. Pleasingly for us, if you look at education and research and health, and you average them out, we're at about 57% of the giving pie is going to the work, I think, that we're involved with. And then it goes down to 3.9% being in the religious category. So I merely show this slide to really, again, highlight the opportunity that we have. So what do we at the RBWH Foundation do, and where are our commitments? So we are committed to supporting research, and the way that we are currently doing that, and I have to take a step back at the bottom and say that in our nearly 40 years of operation, we've given away $80 million to this campus for research and research-related activity, and it's something that we're incredibly proud of, and it is a key part of our reason for being. In the last 3 years, $1.43 million has been given to research projects, some of which many of you may be in the room involved with. And the principal way that we are investing in research proactively is through running 2 open grant rounds each and every year, where we've got a notional sum of $1 million that we are giving away. And I heard Jeff Lippman mention Joel Delhunty a little bit earlier. Joel is actually the chair of the internal committee that's made up of a whole range of stakeholders, including Dale, who's been our consumer rep, making decisions on where donor funds are best placed for maximum impact. So if you're interested in funding for your project or program, the grant rounds should be your first port of call, and I'm happy to share information on that. I have to just share a couple of highlights. And Jason knows these wonderful people incredibly well. Just a couple of really nice stories, I think, to leave you with that kind of give you an essence of our own spirit of giving here. Because I think people often think of the $230 million that Jeff Cumming recently gave to the Doherty Institute to establish a centre, or the Snow Foundation giving $100 million to WeHi, or even the I think it was $10 million that the Clem Jones Foundation has recently given to QBI here. These are some of our smaller level, but I would argue equally impactful donor stories for you. So in the height of COVID, the wonderful couple you see there on the screen, Keith and Glenda Drake, called the foundation office, said, "We want to help, we'd like to give you a donation of $100,000. So the person who took the call nearly fell off their chair, but when they regained their composure said, "That's quite incredible. Thank you very much. How would you like to do it?" It came in 4 $25,000 instalments on their credit card, something like that. Anyway, as a good fundraising operation, there's been an ongoing dialogue with Keith and Glenda, and not long after that original donation, they called up again. And again, we're by this stage all remote, and the world is, at least at that stage, seemed like it was falling apart. Anyway, long and short of it, they said they had an apartment up at Maroochydore that they really no longer needed. They had moved properties. It was a property that they owned, and they could think of nothing more important than gifting that property to the foundation to invest in research that could protect and save people in the midst of COVID. And at that stage, that was one of the largest donations that the foundation had received. We tried to sell the apartment, but clearly that was a really bad time during COVID. I'm really pleased to say that when we received the apartment, I think it was worth about $2.5 million. We just recently had it valued for our auditing financial reports, and it's valued at $4.2 million. So the property market has actually been quite kind to us. So ironically, holding the assets actually worked to our favour. But it is always for sale if you know anyone who would like to buy it, because property is not our business. But anyway, as a result of that, Keith and Glenda and their donation was then used to help establish the Hurston Infectious Diseases Institute, which we're very proud to be part of, and fund some Drake fellowships. So folk undertaking research in that institute. And I cannot tell you the joy that couple get meeting Jason, Claire Rickards, the fellows that they're funding. They come to the campus, they go on tours. That's a tour at UQCCR. It has meant the world to them to be kind of part of something significant here. And they now have their family involved, who come to events, who really feel proud of the legacy that their family has started and established here. So I just leave that as a really good news, positive story, and I'd like to acknowledge the wonderful relationship that we have with Jason and others in ensuring that that gift is well managed, wisely stewarded, and the funds are used for maximum effect according to the donor's wishes. And then the final one had already been said a little bit earlier. We're so delighted and thrilled to have been part of people's research journeys and particularly their early careers. We are doing a history of the foundation for our 40 years next year, and we've got the likes of Jason here and others who have come forth and said, a small grant at the RBWH Foundation 20 or 25 years ago got me started. And I'd like to say thank you for that, is what they're saying. And I think as the foundation thinks about its role in the ecosystem of the campus and what we're achieving to do, I think we will continue to lean in strongly on seed funding, early careers, and research ideas that just need some money to get started to prove the concept. I do think that's an area that we can particularly play an important role in. Research grants I mentioned, that's our most recent photograph, and I'd welcome any of you to reach out and we could tell you more about how you can become involved in those. And this is my favourite quote in life, so I have to leave you with that. And again, I get the good pleasure of meeting people each and every day, whether they've got a $10 donation or a $100,000 donation to make. Every gift is meaningful, and every donation that people make to the foundation, and I'm sure to other organisations and charities, is really significant to them because of something they deeply care about. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Simone, and thanks to all the speakers in that first session. I think it set the scene very nicely for the second session, where we're going to get a little bit more scientific, but hopefully just at a right level to make it as understandable to everyone. We're going to have an afternoon tea break now for 20 minutes. So if I could have you back in here by 3:20, please. And at that stage, the chair will be Jan de Waal, who you've already met, and so he'll be chairing the second session. So thanks, everyone. Please go ahead and enjoy some afternoon tea.